Hi, this is Ron, and I'm Jennifer, and we're from the United States, and we are here in Foz on the Silver Coast, and this is the latest episode with Portugal the Simple Life.
Welcome back, or welcome to another episode of Portugal the Simple Life, and I'm really honoured and delighted to be joined here by Ron and Jen. Thank you, Ron and Jen, for being on the podcast.
My pleasure, yeah.
Thanks for having us.
How are you guys?
We're good.
Good.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
We've watched a good number of these podcasts, so it's nice to be part of one finally.
Yeah. Tell us first of all where we for people that don't know where we're sitting right now.
We're on the beach at Foz de Arelho, Portugal, which is 15-minute drive from Caldas da Rainha, an hour north of Lisbon, 3 hours south of Porto.
On the lagoon.
On the lagoon,
On
yeah.
Arelho Lagoon, yeah. So yeah, we're sitting here on the beach. It could be worse places to spend a Wednesday afternoon. I think you may be the first podcast guest that's sitting barefoot.
Okay, good.
Possibly, yeah, with
I
your
don't-
feet
I don't
here
need
in
to
the
show my-
sand.
I don't need to show my feet,
we
right?
don't need proof. It's
Okay.
okay. It's okay. But Ron and Jen, maybe start off telling us a bit about yourselves.
You go first.
Well, we both have worked in the film industry for a good my whole career. Lived in Los Angeles. Met Jennifer on a movie set 25 years ago. I've done a lot of work with Spielberg over the years, doing production sound. I worked on the original Jurassic Park, Schindler's List, Saving Private Ryan, Lincoln.
Amazing.
And then Jennifer's worked as a costumer. You want to tell them what you do?
Yeah, I'm a costume supervisor, and so I've worked a good long time in the film industry as well, and done less notable projects than Ron. But I worked with Barry Jenkins and worked on a project called the Underground Railroad, a series which was I'm really proud of, and it's been a good career as a costume supervisor. I'm grateful for it.
Amazing. Can you confirm or deny some Grammy Awards?
No, not Grammys. I've won 2 Academy Awards.
Academy.
One for the sound on Jurassic Park,
Yeah.
and then for Saving Private Ryan.
Okay. Amazing.
But what I do is when the actors come out on the set, so there's a whole sound team. There's usually 3 or 4 people that win for best sound that get the Oscars. It's usually the production sound mixer who is. What I do, I make the original recordings on the set of the dialogue, and then I turn it in, and then post-production works their magic on what I've done and adds the music, sound effects, all those things. But then when the award goes out, it's all of us that go up, or a few of us that go up.
Amazing. My son will be very happy to hear that you did Jurassic Park. He's big into his dinosaurs. So yeah.
I will brag on him just a little. He was nominated one year. He was running against himself for an Academy Award because he was nominated for Schindler's List and Jurassic Park, but in the same year.
I was more proud of my work on Schindler's List, but it didn't win. But I got a nice consolation prize.
Yeah, and Schindler's List, you can't compare Schindler's List with Jurassic Park as a movie as well.
Yeah.
We're sitting here in Portugal. Our journey together started a few years ago. But to take us back to the beginning, this series is about people like yourselves, normal people that have discovered Portugal, fallen in love with Portugal, and found a home here. But take us back to the beginning. Why Portugal? How did that start for the two of you?
I think I started reading about Portugal on International Living.
Okay.
This magazine, I'm sure you are aware of it, and they tend to pick 2 or 3 countries at a time and promote moving there, starting a new life there. They were talking about Costa Rica, Portugal, a lot. And then I had a friend that I'd met years ago at a film festival in the Czech Republic who lives in Foz, and she sent me pictures of this beach, just where we are, and she was saying it's one of the most beautiful places in the world. So we basically just came. It wasn't a scouting trip, it was just a vacation. We came with 2 other couples, started Alentejo, Lisbon, kind of worked our way up, and also came here, spent some time in Porto. We just loved the vibe of it, the feel of it, People were super friendly, and it felt available. It felt like something we could do. And again, we didn't have in the beginning an idea to move or relocate. We were just exploring. What about you?
Well, my first experience of Portugal, actually, I went to school in Salamanca probably in 1983, so I'm kind of giving you an idea of how old I am. And every weekend our school would take trips somewhere, and so one weekend we took a bus. It was a group of students, and we took a bus to a tiny little border town in Portugal. I didn't know anything about Portugal. It was my first experience of it, and people were saying how beautiful Lisbon was, and that it was a city of tiles, which was really interesting to me because I've always been intrigued by pottery and ceramics. And we went to this tiny little border town, and it was so hot. It was in the middle, like right in the border of Portugal and Spain. It was so hot. It was the middle of summer.
Yeah.
But the people were so friendly. And that was memorable to me. And it was just a little flea market. It wasn't anything special, and it was a day trip there and a day trip back. But and then I kind of forgot about Portugal, and then Ron started talking about it all these many years later.
Yeah.
So.
You brought up international living, and I'm curious about this because, and maybe it's just a bit of naivety or it's not. Americans traditionally have never looked to live outside of America. Now you're seeing this happening more and more often. I mean, what led to you guys saying, well, actually, this is something that we want to look at, we want to consider? What led to you guys looking at living in another place?
I think for me, it came out of retiring, and I was anxious retiring. Like, what would I do with my time? Like, what? And looking for something to take the place of that sort of intense lifestyle of working on movies, and not intense, but just completely engaging. And realizing that I was free to do basically anything. Growing up and in my 20s, Europe really felt unattainable. I came a few times and it seemed really expensive to me, and not something that I could think about actually living or spending a lot of time in. But then when we came on that trip, it just seemed like, it really changed my mind about what was possible for me in my life, and having just an opportunity to really express myself and dig into something different, and then coming and experiencing this. It doesn't take the place for a career, but this is really engaging, because it's a new language, it's new people, new culture. I loved that engagement with my life being here.
Yeah. And for you?
I think from early on in our relationship, we talked about the possibility of maybe moving to France at some point and spending a year there or something. We lived in California, but then we were restoring this 100-year-old farmhouse in Montana, and so we decided, okay, we're going to go spend a year in Montana and see what that feels like to spend a whole year there. And then in the middle of nowhere. And then I think coming here was just such an opportunity to just really have a completely new experience and kind of stretch ourselves in learning language, and the people are so kind, and we just felt really, we came here and then we came again and then we came again, and I don't know, we just really feel very comfortable here.
And there's something else that I want to just drill down on. You mentioned, you used a word when you came to Portugal, you said this seemed or felt achievable. And you spoke about previously, Europe seemed like this unattainable thing. What was it in that trip or those trips to Portugal you thought, yeah, this is achievable and this could work for us?
Well, part of it is it was affordable, but I think, and this is something I've heard other people say, it was just the open hearts of the people here to engage and talk to us, and I'm starting to hear reports now about a sort of backlash against Americans in other places in the world. I have not experienced that in Portugal at all. We went to Alcobaça a few weeks ago and went to this restaurant, and there was a woman who ran the restaurant. It was her family, and we kind of brought this up because we had a nice conversation with her at lunch, and she said, you are so welcome. We are so glad that you're here. Regardless of anything that's going on with your country, we're glad you're here. But even before 3 years ago, I felt that I was welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an important thing. 'Cause sometimes we don't even feel welcome where we live.
Yeah.
And we've just had the elections now in Portugal, the legislative elections, and of course everybody was nervous about that. And my thing, I've been here 16 years, and my thing has always been on the ground. When you go into a restaurant, when you come to a little place like this, which is this literally little shack on the beach, the Portuguese on the street is going to welcome you, which is something quite special. So it's good to hear that you've had the same experiences.
Yeah.
What happens next? So you visited Portugal. How many times did you visit until you decided, okay, let's get something. Let's get a home here.
Well, I think it was after the second time.
Second visit, yeah.
We'd been here, and then
we went and looked at property with you.
And then we went back, and I'm trying to remember the chronology of it.
Well, there was nothing really available in Foz at that time.
At the time.
And we really were interested in Foz.
Yeah.
And so we kind of said, well, let us know, if something shows up in Foz. And it did.
Yeah.
Then we set up a meeting.
We got in touch because of the podcast.
That's right.
So
that's right.
You just happened to find the podcast online.
Yeah, at that time there weren't many English language podcasts about Portugal, and I've always been interested in real estate. So it's like, I want to check that out. But what I loved about the podcast is it wasn't just about real estate; it's about culture and people and what people are doing, and that was very attractive to me. So that brought us in. But then, I just want to share a moment because I remember I don't remember how you got in touch with us about the 5-unit apartment building that we ended up buying a unit in, but I think we had a phone call on Thursday, but then we touched base on Friday, and 4 of the 5 were sold. It went so fast. And I remember talking to Jennifer, and I said, what do you think? She said, I think we should do it. And I'm like, really? You really think we should do it? Okay.
And now, we better do it now.
Well, yeah, I'm sure if we'd waited 2 more days, that unit would not have been available.
And by the way, we're really happy with the unit that we got, so.
We'll talk about the unit.
Okay.
What was it about this particular part of the country that attracted you? It's a small country.
Yes.
But it's a very diverse country.
Yes.
Some parts are more well known than others. This is one of the lesser known parts of the country, I would say. What was it about this area, having first done a bit of research and then visited, that attracted you to here?
Well, yeah. First of all, Ron had a friend here already.
Yeah.
And so we knew a German woman and a Portuguese man here already. And then I found out that my union in California, there were 2 other women from my union who had moved to Caldas.
Oh, wow.
One is in Caldas and one is in Óbidos.
Amazing. Okay.
And then Valerie and Richard, who
Yeah.
they really were interested in this area also. But I think it felt more Portuguese and less touristic than other places we visited. And that when we were here, I think it was I guess it was 2023, because we stayed at the Silver Coast Hotel at your recommendation, and we went across the road to the park, and there was this Portuguese. What are the names of the horses?
Lusitano.
There was the Lusitano
horse fair. Yeah, the fair.
And it was so beautiful, and it was so Portuguese, and we tried the little the lupine, and it just felt like we weren't in
tremosos, the little beans.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I asked them here if they had some, because I wanted to have some without beer.
Yeah.
Because it's quite a very
It's a
Portuguese,
very Portuguese
thing. Yeah,
and
yeah.
it just felt like we were the only Americans there, but we didn't feel out of place. We didn't feel like we weren't welcome. We felt it was such a Portuguese experience.
Amazing.
And that was really attractive. And I will say also, Caldas, I'm a ceramic artist, and there's a big ceramic culture there.
Huge.
So that was really attractive to me as well.
And we'd spent time the first time we came in Lisbon in kind of the wrong time of year, like in the summer, in a very crowded area. And it was like, I mean, Lisbon's beautiful, but experiencing that crush of the crowds and the people and the tourists, and then coming here, I was like, oh yeah, this is more like what we're looking for. I love Porto also. You know, it's a little more laid back.
It's a bit more laid back than Lisbon.
Yeah.
And then it was a case of, okay, well, we liked the area in general.
And we loved just the beauty of Foz.
Yeah.
And the way the beaches and the headlands and the cliffs, it's just amazingly beautiful.
And there's a great city, with Caldas nearby, and the lagoon, and the walled city of Óbidos, and it just has. We love clams. There's really good food here. It has a lot going on.
Yeah, the clams come from the
Right
water,
there.
right here.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a guy there who's busy doing clams. So maybe if you eat clams tomorrow, it'll be from him.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. So then, just let's go through the steps. So, second visit, you've decided, okay, we like it. We feel like we've got a feel for the place now. Now it's a case of finding something. The property in Foz comes up. Just take us through that whole process, as daunting as it may or may not have been.
I mean, I think it wasn't even. We still weren't sure. Do we want to? I have an 85-year-old mom, so it's hard to think about just leaving the United States completely right now. She's in New Mexico, but so it was still not really we hadn't decided we were for sure going to buy a place here. But then when the place became available in Foz, it was like, oh, okay, this is what we want.
Yeah, but it wasn't like we just okay, we're going to do it.
There were still things to consider.
We were seduced by the opportunity in a way, and in a good way.
In a good way, yeah.
And it just felt right. And the place that we got, the unit, maybe not our forever home, but it felt like a jumping off place to do other things. Like we want to go to Morocco, we want to travel around, and this apartment's beautiful because you can close the shutters, close the door, and walk away, and it doesn't really need much attention when you're not there.
Yeah, I think as well sometimes, and correct me if I'm wrong, when people from most parts of the world think condo or apartment, they think 20-story building, lots of noise.
Yeah.
This one had just five
2
units. Floors, which 2 floors apartment blocks is not uncommon in this area. It's quite normal. The maximum I think we go is 3 floors. I mean, was that also, just from a practical perspective, something attractive to you, that you're not in this massive building with hundreds of neighbors?
Yeah.
Because you were attracted to the slowing down a little bit of slower pace of life, a bit more nature, things like that.
Well, and we didn't really know this when we decided to buy the unit, but I love that we can walk outside the door and go down to that Tabino, Casa de Petiscos, and you don't really feel like you're not in a tourist area. There's a couple of grocery stores, mercados there, and it's just really interesting. It's like you're in a place where there are restaurants and things, but it's not overcrowded with tourists and developmental pressure.
Yeah. Those little mini markets on your road are amazing. They're tiny,
They are.
but they cram
They have
pretty much
so great.
everything.
Every
Yeah.
Fruit, vegetables,
Yeah.
good wine section.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing. It's
They have
incredible.
everything. And then you've got the butcher, and you have the guy that does the grilled chicken, and like,
Have you been
it's-
to all these places?
yes.
And how have you found just doing those normal things? Because again, the fear when you move is, how am I going to just do the things that I do every day in my home country, from shopping to going and just grabbing something to eat? How have you found that experience here? Has it been difficult? Have you?
No,
really.
it's great.
No.
It's great. The people are so friendly, and we try to speak a little bit of Portuguese, but obviously we're not Portuguese, and so it's pretty obvious right away as soon as we open our mouths. But everybody's so friendly, and if they speak English, they'll speak English, and we're trying to speak Portuguese, and we get along, and we've found everything we need. I think the only difficulties we've had was when our power got shut off, just because we don't speak the language and trying to navigate things with a new language. But it's also part of the excitement and the experience of being in a new place and stretching our brains and learning new things and figuring out how things work.
So you can't be timid. You just have
No.
to go in and go, bon dia, como está, da, da, da. And, then just get into it.
Put
And
yourself
that just
out
clears
there.
The, clears the air. And then people are going to help you.
Yeah, people have been so friendly.
Between my job as a realtor at Portugal Realty and hosting this podcast, life is pretty busy. But lately I've been receiving so many messages from people that want to know more about buying property here on Portugal Silver Coast that I've got to do something about it. So starting now, for subscribers only, I'm offering up a 30-minute session per day. That's 5 30-minute sessions for a one-on-one meeting to talk about buying property here on Portugal's beautiful Silver Coast. This is for subscribers only. So please subscribe to book your session and get in touch with us through the links below via WhatsApp or email to book your session today. I'll be happy to speak to you. It's for subscribers only, and it's completely free. In my experience, I think one of the things that automatically breaks the ice, because we are guests in the country,
Absolutely.
and I think one of the things that automatically breaks the ice is, you mentioned the horse fair.
Yeah.
I found automatically that the moment that you just went to these things, that people are like, oh, they want to be here. They want to be part of the community. They want to be part of us. It's not, they don't think that what we do is strange, And the fact that you're just going into these places and doing the bon dia, it automatically breaks the ice. And I think for the Portuguese, it puts them at rest, because they're going, okay, like they're not just here to go to the touristic things or to the brunch places,
The golf course.
the golf course on the other side of the lagoon.
Yeah.
They're here to shop in my little cafe, or
Yeah.
they're here to buy meat from me. And I
Or
think
the
that
amazing chicken that we got last night from the guy who has the
the
chicken
takeaway place,
Yeah.
you can't go wrong with takeaway
So
chicken.
good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
He was super nice to us.
Yeah.
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 Let's talk back to the property, because it wasn't built.
No,
Construction hadn't actually started. It was a plot of land.
it was a piece of land with some rocks.
And it was me saying, on this plot it's going to look like this.
Yeah.
How was that? Was that something? Were you guys nervous about that? Buying something that didn't exist?
Well, I think you're always going to be a little nervous, But I think you had an AutoCAD, you had a computer generated image, and so we could visualize it. But there was anxiety when we actually saw it for the first time. Would it be pretty much aligned with what the way we had visualized it, and it was. But for sure, it's a leap of faith. You don't have the opportunity to look at it and just sort of check out the vibe before you buy it. You're going on faith. So yeah, it is anxiety producing.
For you, you got a bit of a designer's eye. Was there any
I mean, I think I remember we looked at a building that was in process in sitio with you, and
Yes.
there was and then there was one down the street that we didn't look at, but you said that was this other one was your favorite builder or something, and you had said that this place was being built by your favorite builder, something along, I don't know, I could be misremembering.
No, yeah,
but that's,
yeah.
And so I think it sort of didn't seem, after we decided, we're going to do this for a long period of time, it didn't seem real, even though Sandra would send us pictures and we'd get all excited when we would see the pictures, and then we'd kind of forget about it for a while. And then we got this email from Sandra, like, your apartment's finished. And it's like, wow, okay, this is real. Like, it's a real thing now. And, you know, we had walked around the empty lot when we were here, and to see it as a fully envisioned building was really exciting.
Yeah, because you bought the property without having seen the exact location of it. I mean, we did the Zoom call and I showed you where it was going to be and the layout and all of that. I mean, what helped you kind of, because we're talking about a 2-year period of the apartment being built. What kind of helped with the anxiety or with the nerves?
We went on Google Earth and got the sort of bird's eye view of where it was, what was around. And then, what's the street that's just to the north of us? The main street that comes in.
Street.
Yeah.
You can do a live. What do they call it? It's like live. You can sort of walk down the street and sort of see what's there.
Street view.
Street view.
Yeah.
Did that to sort of familiarize ourselves with what was there. But then we get these updates from Sandra, like with the pictures of the thing happening, the building being built. Then I'd go back to like Google Earth and go, look, no, on Google Earth it's still dirt.
yes.
I don't see it on Google Earth because they don't update it.
They don't update it that often.
In a couple of years. So, but yeah, and then we would like look at all the photos that she had sent and like blow them up on the screen. Like, what is that? How are they doing that? Because it's a slightly different process here than we're used to. Where we are, they're stick-built buildings, a lot of wood, Here it's, concrete block,
and it takes much quicker in the US, right?
Because in the beginning we thought, how can it take 2 years?
Yeah.
For this to happen. But it's also a different work culture, so things don't happen quite as quickly. There's less of a demand for it to, I think there's less of that capitalistic zeal, It's like, we're going to work on it, but we're not going to kill ourselves, and it'll be done, and it's going to be good.
Yeah. Yeah. Did it help having, someone like Sandra, and we communicated quite often through the process. Did it help having those people on the ground just saying, hey, this is what's happening here? I remember there was a bit of fear about where we were going to put the air conditioning unit and those kind of things. Was that helpful to have people here on the ground saying, well, this is how this is going to work, or this is where we are in the process? Yeah,
because when time goes by and you don't have that, it just starts to seem unreal. Like, whoa.
It was very helpful.
And it's helpful.
Yeah. It was, and it was comforting also.
Yeah.
Because we would get some photos and then we'd forget about it for a while. But I think if we hadn't had these updates, it would have been much more uncomfortable.
In the end, it feels like, probably in the moment, it felt like it was taking forever. In the end, maybe looking back, it went by quite quickly.
That's the way life is.
I mean, it didn't really seem like it was taking forever because we didn't feel like we were in a giant hurry.
Yeah, yes, that's true.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was the feeling of walking in the door, seeing it for the first time?
Well, it's complicated because by the fact that there were like 6 or 7 people, because you're doing a handover, and you're like looking at the apartment for the first time, and then there's, a representative from the construction company. There's Alana with the Portugal interior,
with the furniture.
There's Katarina, but they were all very patient. But not only are you like doing your walkthrough, but you're getting to know people, and it's like a little party. I remember we all
We took a
our
picture
photos.
with everybody. I mean, it was a lot. It was a lot to be with the very first time we saw it, to be, honestly, to be with everybody and to not just be able to experience it.
Yeah.
But it also makes complete sense. Like, you know, it's a handover, so that's the way that it would work anywhere.
Yeah.
But I guess because we had never seen it physically before, and then for the very first time, I mean, everybody was so happy and excited for us, and it was really nice to be there with everyone. But it was also, you know,
A bit overwhelming.
yeah,
A little bit, yeah.
yeah.
It was.
I mean, you've now been here for
This time?
more than a month.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Almost 2.
You were here for the blackout.
Yeah, we were here for the blackout.
Where were you when that happened?
We were with Katharina in the office.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
That was a weird day.
We were signing.
Because you didn't know how long it was going to last.
Nobody did.
Yeah.
What did you do that day?
We went to Óbidos and walked around.
Yeah, it's a castle. You don't need the electricity.
You don't need electricity in a castle. It was really interesting though, because we thought, well, we don't know how long this is going to go on for, and if you know, if we need to get information, we tried to turn on the radio, but we don't speak the language, so
Yeah.
Ron thought, well, if we really, you know, start to get concerned, we can go to the police department, and like, but then we're like, well, we don't have any internet right now, so we don't even know where the police department is. It was, but we weren't scared.
Places.
We weren't, you know, we're like, we'll just figure it out.
Yeah.
And it was amazing to me. I mean, having been in Los Angeles in the middle of the LA riots, it was amazing to me to, you know, after the fact, to read that there was no looting, there was everybody just sort of took it in stride and helped each other and got through it together, and I didn't hear of anything bad happening or anybody taking advantage of the situation.
Yeah. You've been here for more than a month. Now you've also had a lot of visitors.
Yeah.
You've travelled a bit as well. Now that you've had the chance to enjoy the space, enjoy it on your own, just take it in. How's that feeling been? Has it matched your expectations?
Yeah.
I think it's exceeded.
It's exceeded, I would say.
Because I like the way the building is situated, like the views that we have. You know, we get to see some greenery, we get to see some older structures as well. I mean, there's a chance that another building could be built next door, but the way it is now, we don't feel constricted. It just feels open, and the place has a lot of windows, and it just feels like, you know, you're in and out. It feels really good.
We've also been in the building pretty much by ourselves, so that's been nice. But you know, it'll be nice to meet the other people there as well.
Meet your neighbors.
Yeah.
Have you been in the pool?
Not yet, but we were gonna go yesterday, but we didn't have beach towels, so we bought beach towels today, and then it was overcast. So maybe later today or tomorrow we're going in the pool. Yeah.
It's time.
It's warmed up.
Yes, finally.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had some strange weather. What advice would you give to people that are thinking about doing this, that want something similar? They want to come to Portugal, but to something that's more Portuguese, more authentic, that are maybe in the same position you were 3 years ago, starting the process. What advice would you give to people who want to do what you've done?
You keep looking at me when you ask the question. Do you have a thought about that?
I mean, I think I would just say, do what you can to learn about the people here, and learn a little bit of Portuguese. And I mean, people here speak English, so you're not going to be dead in the water if you don't speak Portuguese. But I think it's appreciated, and I think come here and meet Portuguese people, and it's great to have, you know, people that speak the same language and come from the same place, but it's also really nice to have, we're not coming here to have the same experience we had in the United States. So I would say meet put yourself out there and meet the people from here. And be open to new experiences and be willing to be a little bit uncomfortable sometimes because you're learning new things. But that's part of the beauty of it.
Yeah, I mean, listening to your podcast was a big eye-opener for me. You know, there are some amazing Facebook groups that you can learn from, and like Brazilian American friends and whatever.
Portugal.
There's a Silver Coast, my home. On those groups, people have asked every question. You know, you can just like read and find out about other people's experiences, what to expect, and think just have an open mind. You know, this is something I was thinking about before we came. Is don't come and think that you know the way things are supposed to be, because it's a different culture. People operate in a different way, and be open to that. That's what, like Jennifer said, that's why we're here.
And be patient.
To experience that patience.
Yeah.
Let's talk about food.
Oh, food. I love food.
Yeah. What have you tried that you loved? What have you tried that you're still not sure about? And what is something that you haven't yet thought that you haven't been able to try?
I don't think there's much that we haven't been able to try.
We've had the chicken gizzards. We've had percebish.
Moelas,
Moelas.
percebish, which are really not nice to look at.
No, but they're really delicious. I mean, if you like clams or things from the sea, I think you're going to like them. And they're so interesting.
All of the fish is amazing.
Fish is great.
You can't go wrong with any kind of fish here. We're not so, how do you pronounce it?
Alligator.
Yes.
Alligator, the
The
sausage.
Yeah, that has the bread in it.
Yeah.
Don't love that so much.
But I also don't eat gluten, so that's a challenge.
That's a no-go for you.
That's a no-go. I didn't love the pig's ears. We went to a fado concert in, it was a Portuguese, it's a little town nearby. Do you remember the name of the town? It was all Portuguese.
It's a suburb of Caldas.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was all Portuguese. We were the
Couto,
yes.
Yeah.
Which was really lovely. They did bring out a big platter bowl of the chicken gizzards, which were good. But they also brought the pig's ears. Not my favorite.
No, chewy.
Chewy, yeah, weird texture. I don't need to have that again. But I tried it.
But that's a really good example, because we saw about this on a poster, the Fado night, and so we called, and we couldn't get any more information, but then the guy called back. He was like super nice. He said, we'll reserve some places for you.
Yeah.
So cool.
Carlos, and then we just think we're going to be sitting and watching the Fado. But we get there, and there's like tables with tablecloths, and they have wine, and you sit. It was so civilized and so nice. Just completely exceeded our expectations of that night. I think we were the only.
You were definitely the only
non-Portuguese,
non-Portuguese,
but
for
you
sure.
know, everyone's super nice.
Yep.
You know, it was just a great experience.
Yeah.
What do you still want to try? What food would you still like to? You sound like you've tried a lot.
We've tried a lot. I'm trying to
I
think.
think just more.
More food.
More food.
Yeah.
Have you done the black pork?
Yes.
Yes.
And there's a dish
That's
at that
delicious.
Tibino. It's pork, sort of braised in red wine. It's just delicious. All the pork is. I think the pork is very high quality here, and just the way they prepare it is amazing.
Have you done the squid with the tentacles and everything?
We have well, okay,
Polvo.
so our friend, when we were here in 2023, we rented a place in Foz, but up on the bluffs overlooking the ocean, which was beautiful, but really cold and damp up there, like right next to the ocean.
I remember you guys saying it was miserable.
But our friend, we went to the fish market. I love the fish markets. And we went and we bought squid, and so our friend Mara, who's a chef, prepared it.
Oh, she
But we
cooked the
haven't
squid?
actually had it in a restaurant, the squid, I don't think.
Lulash.
Lulash?
Lulash is cuttlefish.
Oh, cuttlefish.
Okay, no.
What's choco?
So-
I don't
What's
like
choco?
cuttlefish.
Shoko is cuttlefish. Lula is kind of calamari. It's but
Okay.
not calamari like what we know it as in the the
Like
fried.
breaded and fried.
No. Lula. So lula's is calamari, shoku is cuttlefish,
Right.
and polvo is
Octopus.
Right.
Yeah,
So I would like to try the squid. So that's lula.
lulash. Yeah,
Lulash,
yeah.
okay.
Yes, so that's squid. You're right. Polvo is octopus,
Yep.
and then shoku is cuttlefish.
Yeah.
She never got in trouble in
Greece.
It was Greece. Like she ordered cuttlefish, and it was just terrible. And there were these cats. So I say that she
You
put
gave
her
it to the
plate
cats?
down, and the cats came.
Yeah.
And they were eating, and the waiter got very angry with us.
That you fed to the cats.
Yeah, in front of the other customers.
I think I was just handing little pieces to
maybe
them.
you were.
Ron thinks I put my plate down.
But I think we should try the cuttlefish. It's not high on my list, though. Do you like it?
Cuttlefish, yeah, I do.
Is it fishy?
It's not fishy, and it's if they do it properly, it's not very rubbery. It's nice and smooth. It's nice and tender. There's a place here in Foz called Ugronio,
Oh yeah.
which is on the roundabout as you come down from the bluff, and they do quite a nice cuttlefish.
Okay.
And it's usually fresh, caught the day before. Big ones as well.
Okay. Maybe we need to try it because we haven't had it here.
Or polvo, which is the octopus. That's
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Yeah. I have a hard time with art. I used to eat octopus, and then
Okay.
I saw the movie My Octopus Teacher. My Octopus Friend.
Octopus.
Octopus
Okay. Okay.
And I have a really hard time eating something that's as intelligent as me.
Gotcha. Okay, so maybe
But
go for cuttlefish.
Yeah.
Good. And then you've also travelled around a little bit in the country. Some highlights, some places that you visited that you enjoyed?
Villanova de Melfontes
Yeah, we like
and
Alentejo.
Alentejo. We really like
Yeah.
Alentejo a
Walking.
lot. We considered Alentejo, but it's a little bit hotter than here.
Much hotter, yeah.
We love Porto. We went to, where does Royal live?
Ponte Lima.
Ponte Lima is really beautiful. We went to the national forest, Gerês.
Gerês, yeah.
Gerês.
Yeah, yeah.
Gerês, that we love.
Beautiful.
I mean, we haven't been
Evora,
anywhere.
we loved Evora.
Evora.
Did you go into the
Yeah, we did.
the chapel?
With
Yeah.
all the
The
skulls.
bones?
Yeah.
And then Coimbra we liked a lot.
Yeah.
Alcobaça?
Alcobaça is
Alcobaça,
beautiful.
yeah. Beautiful, close.
Not far at all, yeah. Really good.
We haven't found
you
any
mentioned
places yet we
Abidos yet.
didn't. Oh, and then we went on our way back from Spain. We stayed in
A month.
A munch. Yeah.
It's a
That's
suburb,
also
kind
a
of a
beautiful
suburb
town.
of Porto. It's northeast of. Yeah,
Beautiful.
It was nice.
The north is
with the
really,
river
really nice.
running
Yeah.
through the middle of it. It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
And trout jumping in the river.
Yeah, they were
And
jumping.
kayaking. Like to go back there.
There were these dams and
Very
the
good.
fish were like
Jumping over.
jumping over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Amazing.
a lot of them didn't make it, so we were a little bit worried about them. But I guess enough make it, or there wouldn't be any fish.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Last question. Why does Portugal feel like home?
I think for me, it's the openness of the people and the welcoming nature of the people that we've met. There's no artifice, there's no prejudice, and also that. And I remember you had a guy on a podcast from New Orleans who talked about his experience. I think he was going to buy a hat, and he didn't have the money and went back the next day. But he talked about he was black.
Yeah,
He talked
Rory.
about walking down the street, and for the first time he didn't feel like he was a menace to anybody. Like, people didn't cross the street to get away from him. And I remember listening to that podcast, and it made me cry because it was just like. That kind of culture is very appealing to me, where it's just open and people
Accepting.
are accepting and they're not pushing back, and my experience of that makes it feel like home.
Yeah, I think what Ron said, and it's just the people are very welcoming and really genuine, really genuine. Like, I don't feel like people are just putting on an act.
Right.
They're just, people are kind and warm and happy, and when you're in the middle of trying to get stuff done and you're trying to like make stuff happen, it doesn't always happen in the time that we want it to happen, but it happens. And I think it's a good opportunity. Like, part of the reason we're here is because people appreciate life, like the quality of life. And so some of the things that we want to be here for can also drive us a little crazy sometimes, but we get to realize that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Like, better quality of life.
Yeah, we had a recent guest on the podcast who's a Portuguese guy who moved to the US when he was 4, but he's never lost that connection to Portugal. And he said Portugal is slow on purpose, for good and for bad,
Exactly.
And
said.
it's interesting that idea. But I'm going to teach you a cheers in Portuguese, which is saúde. Saúde, which means to your health, to good health. Saúde. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Saúde.
Thank you for having us.
us.
It's been a pleasure.
So thank you once again to our guest, and thank you to all of you for listening. Please subscribe, share with your friends, give us a thumbs up, and please leave a comment or a review. We always love to hear from you. Don't forget, Portugal The Simple Life also has a magazine, so download it. It's for free. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode, and as we say in Portugal, sejas bem-vindo. Welcome to The Simple Life.